Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Sacred Beast Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Phantom Rage. With the release of Phantom Rage, we were given the awesome new armor tile, the Chaos Phantasm, Phantom of Fury. It is a new fusion monster that just helps to benefit from taking out your opponent's resources while also in turn giving you the original armor tile, the Chaos Phantasm, on the field. A really cool boss monster. It's also not limited to, fusion summoning, so we can fusion summon this card out and then properly summon out armor tile, the Chaos Phantasm. So I definitely felt an update was due to the deck. I've also changed around some of the numbers of the other Phantom Beast cards that I run. I said Phantom Beasts, but Sacred Beasts. We're not going for Phantom Beasts just yet for an update, but still really happy with the results of the deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So for the Sacred Beast monsters, I run 2 Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames. With the Sacred Beast monsters, the majority of them are in here just to power the fusion summon into our armor tile, the Chaos Phantasm. You still have plenty of different options in this deck to summon out these monsters onto the field, but we're using Uriah as one of the 3 requirements for the monster, needing all 3 of the different Sacred Beasts to summon out this card onto the field. So I wanted to run 2 copies of Uriah, the Lord of Searing Flames, 2 copies of Hammond, Lord of Striking Thunder. Both Hammond and also Raviel are both the more preferred ones to summon out onto the field, both having the 4,000 attack, where Uriah has the 0 attack and gains the attack based on all the continuous traps you have in your graveyard. So the 2 Hammond and also the 2 Raviel, if you were to summon any out onto the field, would definitely be the ones to go into just for their power play that they can do. Raviel can also give you the Phantasm tokens on the field to use to tribute summon out the other ones onto the field for setup of our 1 Raviel, Lord of Phantasms, the Shimmering Scrapper. With this one, it's a quick effect. You can discard this card to target 1 Raviel, Lord of Phantasms you control for the rest of this turn. Its attack becomes double its original attack, and you can attack all of your opponent's monsters. And if this card's in your graveyard, you contribute, summon 1 monster to add this card to your hand. So with this, you have more of your power setup for your Raviel on the field, which, like I said, the preferred one to summon out, since you just have to summon out this card by tributing 3 Fiend monsters, while with, Hammond, you have to normally tribute 3 continuous spells, and Uriah 3 continuous traps. You have the other monsters we run on the deck to summon them out that much easier as well, but Raviel, just one of the more easier ones to make use of with the Shimmering Scrapper as well in the deck. For the additional monsters we run for the setup, I run 3 Chaos Summoning Beasts. You contribute this card to special summon 1 Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions. You can banish this card from your graveyard to add 1 Fallen Paradise from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect of Chaos Summoning Beast once per turn, so you have the easy special summon for any of the ones we have spoke of beforehand, but also being able to have the search power for Fallen Paradise, which is our draw power in the deck, makes for a very useful 1-for-1 target using this card on the field also. And I also run 3 Dark Beckoning Beast. With this one, when this card is normal summon, you can add 1 Uriah, Hammond, or Raviel, or 1 card that specifically lists any of the cards in its text from your deck to your hand, except for Dark Beckoning Beast. You can only use this effect of Dark Beckoning Beast once per turn, and during your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Fiend monster with 0 attack or defense in addition to your normal summoner set. So with the Chaos Summoning Beast being one of these other cards, you can summon with your Dark Beckoning Beast, searching out whichever one of the Sacred Beasts you have on the field, and then adding with the additional normal summoning, summoning out your Chaos Summoning Beast, which then you contribute this card to summon out your bigger Sacred Beast monster out onto the field. So you want 3 outs for all of these, so you have the search power to go into them, and then have the resources to search out whatever you need for your additional plays. I'm also trying out the Chaos Core now. I didn't run it in my last deck, but I've definitely become a fan of it. When either player activates a card or effect that targets this card, or when an opponent's monster targets this card face up for an attack, quick effect, you can send up to 1 of each Uriah, Hammond, Raviel from your hand and or deck to the graveyard. If you do, place 1 Phantasm counter on this card for each card sent to the graveyard, and if you place at least 1, you take no battle damage this turn, and you can only use this effect of Chaos Core once per turn. If this card be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove 1 Phantasm card from this card instead. So it's more of a stall-out protection card once it's on the field, but you can set up your Sacred Beast monsters in your graveyard as well, because you will banish them for your fusion card, which is Dimension Fusion Destruction. Just being able to set them up that much quicker in the graveyard to summon out your main fusion boss monsters means you don't have to, worry about drawing into them. You can thin out the deck for much more important cards you can use also. And lastly, for the monsters for the main deck, I run 2 Dark Summoning Beast. You contribute this card to special summon 1 Uriah, Haemon, or Ravael from your hand or deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Also, monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of this turn, and you can only use this effect of Dark Summoning Beast once per turn. You can banish this card from your graveyard and add 1 Uriah, Haemon, or Ravael from your deck to your hand. So you have the search power, but also the additional setup with this card for the special summon of another additional Sacred Beast onto the field. Comboing very, very well with Chaos Summoning Beast, just giving you more and more Sacred Beast monsters on the field if you were to legitimately summon out your Armor Tile, the Chaos Phantasm. You have to special summon this card by banishing the above cards, which we can normally get around with the fusion spell, but if you were to go around that factor, you have quick ways of summoning them out with the form of Dark Summoning Beast and also Chaos Summoning Beast. And that is it for the monsters. I wanted to stick to as pure of a Sacred Beast setup, which you can easily do with all these cards just having one goal in mind, to summon out your different Sacred Beast monsters. For the spells, I am running 3 Dimension Fusion Destruction. With this card, you banish from your hand, field, and or graveyard fusion materials that are listed on a Phantasm Fusion monster, then special summon that fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. You take no battle damage from attacks involving monsters. Special summon by this effect. If you control Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, Haemon, or Ravael, your opponent cannot activate card or effects in response to this card's activation. So having them on the field makes it that much easier for your fusion summon, because then your opponent won't be able to activate and you'll be able to summon out your fusion. Your opponent won't be able to negate this card, and you won't invest in the fusion play because it's not a cost to get rid of monsters for the fusion summon. But still, just having it negated can definitely be a big pain, because then you have to rely on opening up another one of these cards to fusion out your Phantasm monster. And I also run 2 Cerulean Skyfire, a continuous spell. You just special summon Haemon, Lord of Striking Thunder, using its own procedure. You can also use this face down spells you control once per turn. While you control an attack position, Haemon, Lord of Striking Thunder, you can negate any spell or traps activated by your opponent, then change 1 Haemon, Lord of Striking Thunder you control to defense position. If a face-up Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, Haemon, Lord of Striking Thunder, or Ravael you control leaves the field, you take no damage this turn. So it's protection from the damage, but also we run plenty of spells in this deck, so just being able to have the option to have spells set on the field to use for the tribute of Haemon with Cerulean Skyfire make it all the better as well. And then also just when this card leaves the field, or one of them, you'll take no damage. Means you're safe basically from any of your opponent's other cards they may try to use. I also run 3 opening of the Spirit Gates. Nonetheless, we still do run a good amount of continuous spells, so it's definitely a lot more likely to summon out Haemon with the proper summoning method than Uriah in this deck. Ravael still being the best since we run all Fiend monsters in the main deck. But opening of the Spirit Gates, when this card is activated, you add 1 Uriah, Haemon, or Ravael or one monster that specifically lists any of those cards from your deck to your hand, and once per turn you can discard 1 card to special summon 1 Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your graveyard, and once per turn if a level 10 monster is in your graveyard once per turn, you can add 1 continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand. You can only activate 1 opening of the Spirit Gate per turn. So being able to recycle the Cerulean Skyfire makes this card great for that search power, but also just being able to add any of our monsters that we're running in the deck along with that recycle in the graveyard makes this card a definite 3 of, so you can always have what you particularly need, whether you have the Sacred Beast set up on the field already. If you need one of the monsters to summon it out onto the field, opening of the Spirit Gates is your go-to card. It also looks like the card they used. I love the art style. It's the basic spot in the GX anime on the island where the beasts awaken after all 7 of the pillars were activated. So really going off of the anime with that art also. And I also run 2 Fallen Paradise. This is your field spell. Your opponent cannot target Uriah, Haemon, or Ravael with card effects. Also, those monsters cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And while you control them, if you control Uriah, Haemon, and Ravael, you can draw 2 cards. You can only use this effect once per turn. It's draw power. You invest a lot in summoning out these Sacred Beasts. So being able to have that draw 2 with Fallen Paradise make it that much better. If you want a little more protection for some of your other higher level monsters, which we do run the Phantasm Emperor in the deck as well as a go-to fusion monster. The one Mound the Bound creator can help to protect that. Let's say you get that card on the field and then you just have this card, because sometimes you could have the multiple copies of some Sacred Beasts but be missing the other ones, but you still want to go for the fusion summon, so your Phantasm Emperor will be the one to summon out, and then just having this additional field spell will definitely help also. For more draw power, I also run the 3 Allure of Darkness. You have multiples of plenty of cards in this deck, including the lower level monsters to help summon out. So if you open up multiples of these, but you just need the one for the summon and then the graveyard setup, Allure of Darkness can help to banish the one, giving you more draw power for some more vital cards you may need to draw into, like some of your search spells or even the fusion spell to summon out Armatile from your extra deck. And then for some of the one-ofs, I run the 1/1-for-1, special summoning the level 1 Chaos Phantom monster, the Chaos Summoning Beast, onto the field, that much easier. Setting up some of your other Sacred Beast monsters in the graveyard as well, because they could just be banished from the graveyard for the fusion spell. 1 Terraforming, we have plenty of different field spell options, so being able to search out one or the other with the Terraforming is basic playstyle. And the 1 Foolish Burial graveyard setup, especially with cards like Dark Summoner Beast or ones that have other banish from the graveyard benefits if you don't want to get them on the field first, if you already have your Sacred Beast set up all together as well. And then for the traps, I run 3 Awakening of the Sacred Beasts. This card gains these effects depending on the number of Uriah, Hamon, Lord Striking Thunder, and Ravael with different names you control. If you have 1, each time your opponent normal or special summons a monster, gain life points equal to the attack of that monster. Negate the activation of a monster your opponent control of that effect. And if it's 3 or more, any monster sent to your opponent's graveyard is banished instead. And once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add 1 continuous trap from your graveyard to your hand. Having the recycle power, just like the other spells had for our setup, it's really, really useful just for all the consistency that these cards use together for the setup. And having the additional Sacred Beasts on the field means you'll have more and more, powerful effects to benefit from also. I run the 1 Hyperblaze. We're basically running with Uriah to special summon Uriah using its own procedure. You can also use face down trap cards you control. And once per battle, when an attack is declared involving your Uriah, you can send 1 trap from your hand to or deck to the graveyard. Its attack and defense become the number of face-up trap cards on the field and in the graveyard times 1,000. So just an extra boost for Uriah using this card. But once again, it's definitely the more difficult of the ones to summon. We do run a good amount of traps in this deck, so you can get its attack up, and I'm not saying it's impossible not to summon it out on the field properly as well, but having the set option as well and being able to benefit from other traps on the field is why I like to run the 1 Hyperblaze for sure. And then lastly, I run the 1 Metaverse, just more search power for the field spells. We have Terraforming, but we run 2 different, field spells. So whether you need Mound the Bound Creator or Fallen Paradise set up on the field, the 1 Metaverse can just help for that activation, depending on what monster you may also have on the field ready to go. And for the extra deck, I have the 1 Armatile, the Chaos Phantasm, Phantom of Fury. You need Uriah, Hamon, and Ravael to summon this card. This card's name becomes Armatile, the Chaos Phantom, while on the field. And once per turn during your main phase, you can give control of this card to your opponent. And once per turn during the end phase, if this card's control was changed this turn, banish all cards you control. Then the owner of this card can special summon 1 Armatile, the Chaos Phantasm, from their extra deck, ignoring these summoning conditions. So you'll give control of it to your opponent. The opponent at the end of the turn will activate this card, banishing all cards they control. And since you're the original owner, you'll be able to summon your Armatile, the Chaos Phantasm, onto your field also, which you'll want to summon it in defense position, because remember, with this card, which we are also running the 1 of, with this, you must first be special summoned from your extra deck. But this card gets around it, because then you're able to summon out the Armatile with this card on the field, giving control of it. And then during this card's change, banish all cards your opponent control, and then special summoning your Chaos Phantasm. And also, you do not use polymerization originally for this, the banish effect, but this is a lot more consistent because you can use our fusion play to summon this card out onto the field and then give control of it to your opponent, banishing their cards, getting rid of their resources, and leaving you with 1 10,000 attack point boss monster on the field. I also run the 1 Phantasm Emperor. It just needs 3 level 10 monsters. So this goes off of the fact that if you have multiple copies of the same Phantom Beast, but you're still missing the 1, you can still fusion summon with what you've set up. For the Link monsters, I run the 1 Master King Archfiend, just a stronger attack point Archfiend monster to go into. Using Fiend monsters, 1 barricade board blocker. We run plenty of field spells, which we recycle through, so being able to add back some other ones we've gone through in the graveyard as well. With this card, 1 Wee Witch's Apprentice, 1 Underclock Taker, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, the 1 Predaplant Vert Anaconda. Just remember with this, you're limited with special summoning, so you won't be able to use your Armor Tile to the fullest if you do resort to this card and your fusion spell, just because you can't special summon anymore after you fusion summon the first one. Also, 1 Link Karibo for the level 1 option, setting it up in the graveyard faster also, and the 1 Nightmare Unicorn for the Link monsters. And for the Exceed monsters, I run the 1 Gustav Max, the 1 number 81 Cannon Superdora, and the 1 Sky Palace Gongaradai. All different rank 10 monsters that you can summon out if you have the 2 Sacred Beasts on the field to either do burn damage or destruction damage to your opponent, or just protect cards you control for the rank 10 Exceed play, which definitely a lot easier to summon out on this to the field basically with your plays also, and also being able to use your Phantasm Emperor to summon them out, also giving you the level 10 option with this fusion and any other ones you may have on the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoy. And once again, just remember, with the Fusion play, setup is your main go-to key. So if you have the Fusion to rely on, it gave us the extra benefit with this card. Going now into our latest Armor Tile, the Chaos Phantasm, Phantom of Fury. Because with this card, you can take out your opponent's resources after giving control of it to them and getting out your other Phantom onto the field. But before that, you'll have the powerhouses on the field that you can use if you summon them out, either going for the fusion play, but most of the time even just having them themselves on the field is that much more terrifying. But I think having a 10,000 attack point monster that you can swing into your opponent with is definitely the true terrifying part of this deck altogether. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.